Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Brilian Adam from E-Class D4 English for Communication, Business and Professional. In this change, I will explain you about how COVID-19 has changed the world economy. Economic shocks like coronavirus pandemic of 2020 only arrive once every few generations, and they bring about permanent and far-reaching change. Measured by output, the world economy is well on the way to recovery from a slump the like of which barely any of 7.7 billion people have seen in their lifetime. Vaccines saw accelerated the rebound in 2019, but other legacy of COVID-19 will shape global growth for years to come. Some are already discernible. The takeover of factory and service jobs by robots will advance. Will white-collar work get to stay home more? There will be more inequality built within and within country. Government will play a larger role in the life of citizens, spending and owing more money. What follows is an overview of some of the transformation underway. These are some of the way pandemic is changing the world economy. At first is return of big government. Big government staged a comeback as the social contract between society and the state got rewritten on the fly. It became commonplace for authorities to track where people went and what they need and to pay their wages when employee called them manager. In country where free market ideas had reigned for decades, safety nets had to be patched up. To pay for this intervention, the world government ran budget deficit down at up to 11 trillion US dollar this year. According to McKinsey and Co., there's already a debate about how long such spending can continue and when taxpayers will have to start footing the bill, at least in developed economy. Ultra-low interest rates and unfazed financial market don't point to a near-term crisis. In the longer run, a big rating in economy is changing minds about public debt. The new consensus say government have more room to spend in low inflation world and so use fiscal policy. I am so use fiscal policy more actively to drive the economy. Advocates of modern monetary theory say they pioneer this argument and the mainstream is only now catching up. And the second is even easier money. Central banks were plunged back into printing money. Interest rate hit new record lows. Central bankers stepped up their quantitative easing, widening into by corporate as well as government debt. All this monetary intervention have created some of the easiest financial conditions in history and unleashed a frenzy of speculative investment which has left plenty of analysts worried about moral hazard ahead. But the central bank policies will be hard to reverse, especially if labor market remain fractured and company continue the recent run up in saving. And history saw the pandemic depressed interest rates for a long time, according to a paper published this year. It found that a quarter century after the disease started, rates were typically some 1.5 percentage points lower than they otherwise would have been. And again, the debt and zombie government offered credits as a lifeline during the pandemic and business gravity. One result was a surge in corporate debt level across the developed world. The Bank for International Settlement calculates that non-financial companies borrowed amount 3.36 trillion US dollar in the first half of 2020. With revenues plugging in many industries because of lockdown or consumer caution, and losses eating into business balance sheet, the conditions are in place for a major corporate solvency crisis, according to one new report. Some see danger in offering too much support for company with too little discrimination over who gets it. They say that research for creating zombie film that can survive in free market and are only kept alive by state aid making a world economy less productive. By one estimate, zombie film company that are earning enough to cover their interest expenses are sitting on unprecedented at 2 trillion US dollar of obligation. And then the fourth is grid divided. The stimulus debate can feel like a first world luxury. Poor country lack the resource to project jobs and business or invest in vaccine the way wealthy repair have done. And they will need to chicken bill sooner or risk currency crisis and capital flight. The World Bank warns that the pandemic is spawning a new generation of poverty and debt turmoil, and the EMS say developing nation risk getting set back by a decade. Creditor government in the G20 have taken some steps to ease the plague of the poorest borrower, but they've been slammed by each group for offering only limited debt relief and failing to route private investors into the plan. And then the key set, low paying work in service, where the more face-to-face contact with customer tended to disappear first as economic lockdown, and financial market, where assets are mostly owned by the rich, came roaring back much faster than job market. The upside has been labeled a key step recovery. The virus has widened income of wealth gaps across faultness of class, race, and gender. Women have been hit disproportionately partly because they are more likely to work in the industry that struggle, but also because they had to shoulder much of the extra skilled care burden as school closed. In Canada, women's participation I'm so sorry. In Canada, women participation in the labor force fell to the lowest since the mid 1980s. And then, risk of the rubble. COVID-19 triggered new concern about physical contact in industry where social distancing is taught like retail, hospitality, or warehousing. One fix is replace the human with robot. Research suggests that automation often gains ground during a recession. In the pandemic, companies less rely on machine than check guests in the hotel, cut salad at restaurant, or collect fees at toll booths, and shopping more further online. This innovation will make economy more productive, but they also mean that when it's safe to go back to work, some jobs just won't be there. And the longer people stay unemployed, the more their skill can atrophy, something economists call hysteresis. And L7 is you're on mute. Higher up the income ladder, remote office suddenly became the norm when study found that two-thirds of US gross domestic product is of GDP in May was generated by people working at home. Many companies told employees to stay away from the office well into 2021. And some signal they will make flexible work permanent. Work from home has mostly passed the technology test, giving employee and staff new options. There's a worry for a business catering to the old infrastructure to office life. From commercial real estate to food and transportation, it's a boom for this building in new one. Shares in video conferencing platform Zoom jumped more than sixfold this year. The option of remote work, along with fear of the virus, also triggered a step of urbanity toward the suburbs or countryside in some countries, a surge in rural property prices. The age is not going anywhere. Some kinds of travel came a near halt. Global tourism fell 72% in the year through October, according to the United Nations. McKinsey reckoned a quarter of business trip could disappear forever as meetings move online. With vacation under a mess, even like festival and concert killed off, the trend among consumers to favor experience over garbage band disruption. And when activity duration, they may not be the same. We still don't know how concerts are going to be really, say Remy Heikel, co-owner of the LCV in Brooklyn. People will be more mindful, I think, of personal space and avoiding places that are roughly paid. Traveler may have to carry mandatory health certificate and pay stroke new kind of security. Hong Kong-based China Tech Global has developed a mobile disinfection pod that is trying to sell to airport. Chief Executive Sami Sui say it can clear pathogen from the body goods in 40 seconds or less. You feel some cool air on your body and some mist, he says, but you don't feel well. And next is a different globalization. When Chinese factories shut down early in the pandemic, its sensor wave throughout supply chains everywhere and made business and government reconsider their reliance on the world manufacturing powerhouse. For example, it's part of a flourishing fast fashion retail industry that moves with social media trends rather than traditional season. After delivers good jammed this year, the company shifted some production from China to Turkey. From China to Turkey, says Julia Assertion, head of inbound and custom. That's an example of globalization adjusting without retreating. In other areas, the pandemic may encourage politicians who argue that it's risky to relate to import of goods vital to national security, as ventilator and masks do not all to be this year. And the last is going green. Before the pandemic, it was mainly environmentalists moving over theories of peak oil, the idea, the risk of electric vehicle coal permanently Then the world demand for one of the most polluting fossil fuel. But when 2020 saw plants crowded and people staying home, even oil major like BP felt a real threat for the world getting serious about climate. Government from California to the UK announced a plan to ban the sale of new gasoline and diesel cars by 2035, and Joe Biden was elected by a promise the US will rejoin the Paris Agreement. And that's all from me, and thank you.